Hey family, welcome back to the channel. If you're here for the first time, do me a solid and tap the subscribe button. So today we'll be doing things just a bit differently. I've been notified that I might be moving at a pace or assuming that people know certain things. So we're just going to draw things back today and visit some foundational music theory things that I think we all need to know, especially going forward with this channel, so that we don't leave anybody behind. So let's get right into it. Welcome to my humble office. So we'll be looking at the way music, particularly Western music, is identified and named. It's this system of music that I find myself to be comfortable with. So in this system, we use the letters of the alphabet from A to G. Ignore the thumbnail and the funky key that's written there. But we use A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So these notes are best visually identified using a piano. Although we're guitarists, or I myself am one, for visual people, it's a whole lot easier to grasp when you look at a piano. So the notes on the piano are grouped and they just repeat themselves. We'll see black notes and we'll see white notes. And you'll see that within the black notes, there's a group of 2 black notes, group of 3 black notes, group of 2 black notes, 3 black notes, and so the pattern repeats itself. With A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, those can be mapped onto all the white notes of a piano. So if we look at the group of 2 black notes, right bang in the middle, that note is a D. Why? Great question, but it's one of those things we just have to memorize, that this is this. If we play that note, we got a D, and to the right of it, the next white note is an E, and to the right, it's an F, and to the right, it's a G. Remember, we said we only go up to G, so that next note won't be an H, but we start all over again on an A. Going down that sequence, the next note will be a B, a C, and then if you look, you'll see that pattern of 2 finding itself there again. Therefore, that next note will be a D. Then you ask yourself, so how do we know what the black notes are? Because they make sounds themselves and they sound different from the white notes. So there's 2 terms we need to get familiar with. When we're going to the right of a piano, the notes are getting higher and higher. And when we go to the left of a piano, the notes go lower and lower. So let's go back to that D. Bang in the middle of those 2 notes. If you go higher to the black note above it, you will still call that a D, but then how would you know which one it is? So there's a sign called a sharp. It looks like the pound key, but in music we call it a sharp. So then that note will be a D sharp. Let's jump to an F. Moving to the right, higher pitch, the black note just above it will be an F, but an F sharp. And so you can do the same with all the other notes. But then you ask yourself, what about the E? What about the B? They don't have black notes between them. So therefore you won't have a B sharp or a E sharp, but rather just a B to a C and an E to an F. And this is where music now gets a bit confusing when we look at flats. Back to the D. If we're going down the piano to the black note just next to the D, that'll be called a D flat. When we're making a note lesser, it becomes a flat. But now, if you notice, if we're looking at that note from a C, it'll be a C sharp. But why is it also a D flat? And now these notes are called enharmonic names, right? It's the exact same note, but depending on how you're looking at it, it can have one of 2 names. can either be a C sharp or a D flat. And the way we usually choose which one to call it is if we're going up, it'll be a sharp, and if we're going down, it'll be a flat. There is another way to identify it when we start talking about keys of songs, but let's not jump ahead. We'll visit that in the future, not so far from now. So we can have it as a C sharp or a D flat. So a recap. If we're starting from a D, to name all the notes, I'll try to go slowly. We'll have a D, D sharp, an E, an F sharp, a G, G sharp. Because we don't have an H, we're landing back on an A sharp, B, C, C sharp, and D. And working our way down, we have a D, D flat, C, B, B flat, A flat, and now you gotta work backwards jumping from A to a G. So we got the G, G flat, F, E flat, and D. So now how does that make sense for a guitarist? It's just a matter of where do we find these notes on a guitar. So for a standardly tuned 6-string guitar, the notes of the guitar are, from the 6th string being the thickest, an E, the 5th string being an A, the 4th string be a D, the 3rd string is a G, the 2nd string is a B, and the 1st string is another E. You'll hear that they sound exactly the same, and same how on the piano we saw there's Ds that repeat themselves throughout the piano, right? It's the same note, but a different octave. They sound the same, but an octave apart. So on the guitar, we don't have white notes or black notes, but instead we have what we call frets. And each fret represents moving from, example, a D to a D sharp, or from a D sharp to an E. So this is where things get a bit tedious for the guitarist, in that I highly advise that you memorize and get highly comfortable with which fret represents which note. So get comfortable, get familiar with it, because not all the time will people say, put your finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Rather, they'll say, this chord has a C, E, G, and a B, right? And then you'll be the one to figure out, okay, the most comfortable way to play this chord, considering the notes that exist, is this. So learn it. It can be tedious, again, I say, but it is worth it, absolutely worth it, because once you start moving to keys and scales, chord shapes, and spicing up all these things, knowing which note rests on which fret will be to your advantage. So just a quick recap. In music, we use the letters of the alphabet A to G. All those letters are representable on the piano as the white notes. However, because the black notes exist, it means there are notes in between those notes as well. And to be able to name them, it depends on whether we're going up or down. When you're going up, you are sharpening it, and it becomes a sharp. But when you lower the pitch of a note, you are flattening it, and you call it a flat. And that's literally all there is to it. If there's something that's still confusing, do throw the question in the comment section, and I will get to it as soon as I see it. And if there's anything that you would need help with music theory related, do shoot your question there as well. But hopefully we'll get to covering different stuff in the future. And well done to you for sticking it through this long. Music theory does tend to be a put off for some people, but trust me, it'll definitely be worth it. But that's it for today. Do practice it. Get familiar with your neck. Get familiar with what is in which position, so that going forward with the videos, we're able to just smoothly go past everything and get to cover a whole lot more. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Cheers.